Welcome back to a local church podcast. We got the video up again.
Viewers.
We're going to try the video again.
Yeah.
A couple things. We're going to restart a series, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We used J.I. Packer's Concise Theology. Now we're going to use Kevin DeYoung's Daily Doctrine. It's this bad mamma jamma right here. We're going to walk through this and start the podcast off with the topic of the day, or the theology topic of the day. The second thing I want to talk about is a family that I had no clue about until I jumped on X today. I want to say Koch or Coach family. There's a lot, and I'm going to have to find my phone here to pull it up. There's a whole lot of things about this family that I knew nothing about. It's really interesting. I'm going to have to do some more diving into it. And then lastly, more, I guess, serious. Why are progressive Christians or deconstructionists, why are they so mad? That's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Mad, sad, angry, all the time.
All right.
And do you have questions today? Do you have any topics that you want to talk about today?
I completely forgot to look up questions.
Welcome to the show.
You're listening to a local church podcast hosted by my dad, Pastor Ryan Markham. Be sure to leave a review and share this resource. Love God, love people, make disciples.
We're back, and I'm excited.
Video.
So Kevin DeYoung, Daily Doctrine. So this is a little bit, I think this is a little thicker than the J.I. Packer's book.
Are there more topics, or do you?
There's definitely more in the Kevin DeYoung series. He breaks it down by day instead of topic. So day 1, day 2.
Yeah.
And then he breaks it down by week, right? And so there's a whole lot of, like, day 198, preaching. Day 199, members of the church.
Interesting.
There's some practical things all throughout this, but he starts with day 1, week 1, theology, right? So this is the big topic. I think if you're going to start with a theology book, you've got to start with, what does theology mean?
Yeah, define the terms.
Yeah, so a lot of people define it as theos, God, and then ology is the study of, right, anything. You can put biology, study of science, right, or life. And so theology, the study of God, but he breaks it down a little bit more interesting, which I haven't heard many professors in systematic theology world do. He says it's not just that we want to know about this abstract thing, right? So we're not just studying this abstract thing, but he breaks down, he says, so theology is so that we can know God more, right? Enjoy him more fully and walk with him more obediently. So theology,
that sounds like the catechism.
Yeah, theology leads us into that. He uses a couple of, I guess, fathers of the faith, right? Church fathers. William Perkins defined theology as the science of living blessedly forever. And then Petrus van Maastricht
heard of him.
He called theology the doctrine of living unto God through Christ, right? And so theology isn't just like this abstract, I want to know about God. It's, I want to walk with him. I want to know him more deeply. I want to be obedient to him, right? That kind of thing. Which I think, in turn, if I know more about God, I'm going to know more about me.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's a pretty good trade-off. He breaks it down into 4 ways, right? You can study theology or understand theology biblically. So what do we know about God through the Bible? Rationally, which, I want to talk about rationale here in a little bit. Humbly, and then he says doxologically, which is like, I want to love God more through doxology, right? So I've always heard the more that my theology should lead to doxology, right? If it's just, I want to know more about God and it never moves me to worship of God, then I'm kind of doing it the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
I think most theologians would agree with that or sound similar to that. But I want to look at rationally, right?
Okay.
When I went through theology classes in my undergrad, and even some in the master's level, rationale was often looked at like negatively. Like, look at things biblically instead of rationally. Now, I understand what they're saying, that if I only think about God with my own ration, right? With my own thinking, I'm going to end up in heresy. But if I rationalize what I'm thinking as what I'm learning in the Bible, and I'm using those two together, right, I'll be able to rationally understand who God is, who I am. So I understand what they're saying. But here's what Kevin DeYoung says. He says, reason is not the foundation of faith.
Agreed.
Yeah. So he starts off really quick. He said, but it is the instrument of faith. It's not the foundation, but it's the instrument. So it sounds confusing. He says, for 2 years, Paul reasoned daily in the lecture hall. Acts chapter 19, verse 9. He reasoned with Felix and Drusilla, Acts 24, and he pleaded with Festus, I'm speaking true and rational words, Acts 26. And so Paul was intelligent. There are many people who are intelligent, many more smarter than I am, right? The truth of the Bible may be beyond reason's comprehension, but it is never nonsensical and irrational. That's kind of where he stops. He stops there. I wish he went a little bit further in rationalization. We can look at like the age of the Enlightenment, like when all the artists and Picasso, Michelangelo, Leonardo, Da Vinci, right? All those things. Like that was the age of enlightenment. Like I'm smarter than what your religion says. Like man has made
like
it.
Sciences.
Yeah, we have arrived, right?
Yeah.
And so I think to only study knowledge for knowledge's sake without theology's sake, I think you're going to end up in a bad spot. Right?
Yeah.
I think you'll end up in a humanistic kind of religion or a humanistic kind of faith that says it's all about human flourishing or human whatever, and it's nothing about God or religion or faith.
So I'm sure that this is nothing new, but
there is nothing new under the sun.
It's true. Theology used to be considered the queen of the sciences, the king of the sciences. Like it was like everything that you studied and you came to learn, you compared that to
think about
what God has revealed.
Think about the big colleges, Harvard, Yale, all those big ones, Princeton.
Christian colleges.
They all started as seminaries, right? When you, back in the day, it was, I'm going into theology or I'm going into the practice of doctoring or nursing, things like that, medicine. There wasn't a whole lot of this, I'm going to go study basket weaving, right? There wasn't anything like this, or like, I'm going to go study anthropology for what's, just for its anthropology's sake.
Yeah.
It was seminary or more like medicine, right? That's kind of the big thing. But a lot of the churches, a lot of Christians started these huge institutions because they wanted to know more about God and more about who we are based on that knowledge, right? And so we've gotten way far away from that. I mean, if you look at Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all those big names, none of them resemble their beginnings, right? As far as seminaries go.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. And if they do, it's just a religion study or religion major that has nothing to do with theology.
Well, I was about to say, so like the religious studies, from what I've heard, it's not even like religious as in specifically Christian. It's just like religion in general.
Yeah. You can be a specialist in all religions.
And half the time they're downing Christianity.
Yeah. It's at the lower thing. Now, is there room to learn religions? Yeah, absolutely. Learn them all. Learn all about them. I think we've said it a lot on this podcast, maybe. I know I've said it in the pulpit a lot. All religions tell you've got to earn something.
Yeah.
And then at the end of life, you don't know whether you've earned it or not. Christianity is the only religion, the only faith that says God has come down this mountain and earned what you can't earn, right? And to know, you can know that you will be with him in the end if your faith is in the right spot, right? If your trust is in the right spot. All of the religions say, hey, work at it, and you might make it.
Yeah, maybe you will.
Maybe.
Hopefully you will.
Yeah, maybe. Or there's extreme part of this religion, Islam, that says if you die for jihad, there's these virgins waiting for you, and there's this big rich,
it's like the only
wealth
guarantee,
and all those things. So back to theology, rationalism. God doesn't. So among atheists, among agnostics, maybe there's this idea that when you come to faith in Christ, you've got to check your knowledge, check your smartness at the door, right? That kind of thing. Like, oh, you've got to be dumb to do that, or dumb to have just faith in God in this thing you can't see, right? and following this thing you never heard audibly, right? That kind of thing. Paul wrote, "It's nonsense to those who don't believe." Right?
Foolishness. Yeah.
It's crazy talk to say to someone who doesn't believe in Jesus, "I'm giving up everything to follow him." Right?
Mhm.
It's crazy talk. But the Bible doesn't say check your brain at the door. In fact, Paul says, "Do not be conformed by the patterns of this world, but through the renewing of your mind." Right? Present
Yeah.
yourself.
And I mean, like Jesus all the time said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind,
Yeah.
and strength."
There's a lot to this. So day one, if you're wanting to follow along, Kevin DeYoung, Daily Doctrine, you can get this on Amazon, Crossway, Christian Books. You can probably find it just about any bookstore, I would
Yeah.
assume. I think it's Crossway is the big thing. I'm not really sure.
I don't remember if we got ours online or if we found it at like a Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, so it is Crossways, the publishing company.
Okay.
Kevin DeYoung, Daily Doctrine. It's a 1-year guide to systematic theology, and it breaks it down. Day 1, read about theology.
Mm-hmm.
Day 2, systematic theology. Day 3, divisions of theology. So there's different areas of study of God. Day 4, religion. What does it mean? Right? That kind of thing. I'm really excited because I think concise theology helped us kind of ramp. It's like an off ramp or an on ramp to the discussions of each episode. Hopefully this does the same thing. If not, we'll check it and say, you know what, it's not working, right? And we'll do something else. Anything else with theology or Kevin DeYoung in general?
Theology is fun.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Why does it matter to the church? Why does it matter to the local church, right? Here's a little blurb. Theology is not a barrier to faith. It's the foundation, right? Shallow theology makes shallow disciples. But sound doctrine leads to stable lives, deep worship, and enduring hope. If my theology is shaky when things happen, it's probably the wrong theology, right? But if my knowledge of God, if I know God more fully or deeply, right? When I go through the deepest, darkest valleys, when I go through unknowns, right? My faith isn't shaken because I'm secure in my knowledge of God, right? Because it's real, right? It's tangible in that way. All right. This segment is pretty weird. I don't think we've done anything like this. The Koch family, Koch. It could be Coach. Could be Koch. Could be Koch. Could be Koch. Who knows, right?
I doubt it.
But this family has 14 billionaires in the family.
Yeah,
and they control
insane.
vast portions of the global food supply. This one family. And I want to break it down a little bit. There's 2 families to follow. The Koch family, the Koch family, and Koch Industries. And then there's also the Cargill-Macmillan family, which I'm going to start with them first. So 1865, after the Civil War, William Wallace Cargill. Cool name, right? I don't know if they did it on purpose, but William Wallace Cargill, he starts this grain warehouse in Iowa. Typical, normal, right? He's just starting a business.
Yeah.
And then it gets really cool. So he steers this company by buying up the grain, but then he goes into like, okay, if the people that grow the grain need food, I can take this grain, process it into food, and then sell it, right? But then he said, if I can buy all the grain up in all the farms around me and be the one hub that buys it all, I can sell it back to them as feed for their animals for more than what I bought it, right? And so his gears are working, right? So this is early or late 1800s, early 1900s, and he begins to kind of consolidate all these things. 1930s and 40s, Cargill, he becomes the nation's dominant grain trader. Like he owns all the grain trade.
By when?
By 1930s, 40s. So even in the Great Depression, he was buying grain cheap. Get this. He was buying farms, mills, distilleries, like all these things that produce things with grain. He was buying all that up too. Yeah, he was buying all that up too for dirt cheap, right? And then by the time the 1940s roll around, he's the dominant grain trader. He stays private. They don't go like public. So they don't go through the stock trade and all that kind of thing. They remain public or private, as a private family kind of thing. By the 60s and 70s, this name McMillan comes around. That's part of the family. I don't know how there's marriage there somewhere, right? But Cargill still exists, and now McMillan exists. There's two different names. It's the same family, Koch, Koch, right? Not only do they have the grain market cornered, they own all the grain. They manufacture food and resources from the grain. It's just them. It's just this one dominant company. In the 60s and 70s, they began to buy up all the meat processing plants, right?
Jeez, man.
So they own farms, right? Now they're buying up all the meat processing plants, starches, and then they begin to trade on the market, right? By 1972, their revenue was $5 billion average. That
in
was
the 70s?
Yeah, that was way beyond like normal.
How much do you think that's worth today?
Who knows? By 1976, it reaches 30 billion. So it's skyrocketing with all the things that they're buying up, right? Here's what gets crazy. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
By the 1980s through the 90s, their expansion into beef, now they go into turkey, the meat, right? Cocoa, palm oil, global commodity trading. So now they're going global, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2002, their annual revenue surpassed 50 billion. They operate in 59 countries and 1,000 sites over the world, around the world.
You said annually $50 billion?
That was in the 80s, early 90s.
But by the way, $5 billion in the 70s translates to about $45 billion today.
Nice. It's insane.
That's a lot of money.
He not only does he own all the food, but he's even in oil. This family, right?
Naturally.
They also own oil distributions, right? Here we go. I don't know how to say one of these words, but Cargill sells its stake in Mosaic. I don't know what Mosaic is. It just says parentheses phosphate and potash or potash,
whatever that is,
whatever that chemical is. He sells it for $24 billion, right? The family does.
Mm-hmm. The
family retains 88% ownership of that same thing they just sold. They still own 80% of it, even though they sold it for $24 billion. It's basically they control a vast agriculture, food infrastructure around the world, right? Mm-hmm. This one family controls the food supply of the world, right? It's a huge amount. In 2023, 2025. It's the world's largest private company at 165 billion annual revenue.
Gosh.
Cargill continues to draw criticism for links to deforestation, indigenous land displacement, and broken pledges regarding sustainable sources in the Amazon
go figure.
and in other places. Now, I want to go back to the Koch family. So this Koch family is still working. I guess they marry into Cargill McMillan, and that's the dominant name now. In the 1925, Fred C. Koch developed a thermal cracking process of refining heavy crude oil. So this is kind of the similar timeline as the McMillan family, right? Cargill family. So they're all kind of marry in, and that's why there's all this billions of dollars, this control. Charles Koch takes control of the company after his father's death, launching decades of rapid expansion. What does that mean? I don't know. You have to go on the Googles and figure that out.
Right.
70s and 80s. Koch heavily expands into energy, refining, chemicals, fertilizers, building an empire of intelligence and large-scale logistics. So now with one family owning food, and then this other family owning crude oil, energy, chemicals, fertilizers, right? All of it kind of manipulates everything else. It's insane, this family. I don't know. It's just crazy talk.
Pause.
Yeah.
What got you onto this entire thing?
Yeah, I don't know. 1983, there was this dispute between Charles and David, same family, right? They paid $1.1 billion to buy out their brothers, solidifying their ownership in the Koch industries. Charles has 42%, David has 42%. Who are these people? I have no idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the 1990s, early 2000s, this family, Koch Industries, acquires major companies like Georgia Pacific, Invista, Guardian, Molex, this Koch Ag and Energy Solutions. And so one family is controlling agriculture through grain, food production,
Yeah.
Animals, all that good stuff. The other family is controlling the infrastructure to run all this, right? It's interesting. And they marry in. I don't know when they marry in. They just do, right?
Wow.
2023, 2024, there's this major shift, I guess, restructure. Charles is the chairman and CEO alongside other CEOs, family members. And the company is renamed Koch Inc. to reflect a diversified scope of oil and gas. So today, Koch Fertilizer operates global distribution networks in North and South America, selling agriculture inputs on a global scale. And so you have this Koch family and this Cargill McMillan family are all in cahoots, right? It's one big family now.
Yeah.
Here's some crazy stuff. Are you ready?
I don't think I am.
It's going to
This
get
is a lot of information.
It's going to get more information, right?
Okay.
So,
all right.
The money trail and global influence. Cargill dominates grain, terminals, shipping, fleets, commodity trading, meat processing, and global food chains. Koch connects via fertilizer, biofuel inputs, supply chain, and industry processing. It's like the infrastructure for food, right, and agriculture. They're both working together. Now, Cargill scales globally, enables price influence. That family can raise the prices of food, lower the price of food, raise the prices of fertilizer, lower the prices of seeds, like all these things, right? Since the 1930s, controlling all this agriculture. Koch controls the oil, the fertilizer, the biofuels, and they can leverage the information and what shapes the markets on energy type stuff. These two get together, and they control all
everything.
Of it. Yeah, it's insane.
Everything.
It's insane. So Cargill plays a direct role in global food security. You know, people are like, I don't have enough money for food.
Yeah.
There are countries that don't have food, right? Cargill is influencing all of it, even the deforestation of Amazon and Brazil, all that good stuff, right? And Koch funds climate change denial and policy networks.
Interesting.
And now they're in politics. Koch name, if you Google Koch, K-O-C-H, we're probably saying it wrong. They're heavily influenced in politics, right, in the political sphere. 14 of the family members are billionaires. It's the richest family in the world, right?
Yeah.
By contrast, they retain 88% private ownership of Cargill and McMillan, and then Koch, right, all together. The net worth, I think, for Charles Koch is $71 billion. Yeah, he's not the richest, but if you look at the whole family,
it doesn't even matter. If there's
billions,
14 billionaires in one family,
yeah, and they're all kind of controlling a lot of things that are happening around the world.
How does that even happen? Like okay, if the father has children and then he just gives the money to them, that's one thing. But if it's like a dad and then like the brother of the dad or like the uncle or the sisters and the kids are all starting their own businesses and they're all growing up into this one empire.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's so crazy.
It's a lot. Empire is probably the right word.
Yeah.
Why does this matter? The question we would have to ask is, where is your kingdom being built? Right?
Yeah, it's clear that theirs is being built here.
Yeah. Am I building it here or am I building it in the kingdom of God, right? Something that I can't see yet, right? Is my hope in something I'm yet to receive, right? Or is it here and now? That's the question for the church. All of us get caught up in like, I'm getting older. I need to get a retirement. I need to have lots of money to take care of myself and my family right now, right? How many of us are concerned about the spiritual welfare of our family, right? I'd much rather say 14 of my family members came to Christ today instead of 14 are now billionaires, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the perspective we need to have. Now, is it wrong to have money? Nope.
No.
Is it wrong to earn a wage? No. Paul is very clear about that. Like, give the person what they earn, give it to them, right? That kind of thing. It's how we do it. Is it honest, right? Is it honest gain, or am I gaining on the backs of others, right? Am I hurting other people to gain what I gain? And then ultimately, is my treasure in heaven, not just here on what I can get on here on this earth, right?
There's a lot to this. So, number one, I would like to see how their family actually functions.
Yeah, I don't know anything about their spiritual state, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to get to is like let's say that one of their family members. So I'm gonna use the example of Benny Hinn and Costi Hinn.
Nice.
Okay, so Benny Hinn, prosperity preacher, has a lot of money. Costi Hinn grew up in that same family, had a lot of money, but then diverged because he was truly saved by Christ and now preaches against his own uncle. If that same thing happens with this family, like let's say one of these billionaire children, I have to assume one of them's a kid, goes, this is not as important as my spiritual state. I'm going to repent and follow Christ. What happens to the one, I guess the money, but also two, the entire family dynamic?
Yeah.
That's got to change.
Yeah. Ultimately, who is in control? Is it these families that are wealthy and rich?
God.
No, God's ordaining all these things behind the scenes, things we can't see.
Yeah.
Right. And so trust in God, even when it looks like the bad guy's winning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, God wins in the end, and his kingdom will prevail. The treasures of his kingdom way far outweigh anything I could ever gain here on this earth, right?
I think that's how it translates to the local church specifically is like, we hear about this family and like my mind was immediately blown. Like, oh, how have I never even heard of these people?
Yeah. Because it's a private company. They don't want to be known.
Yeah, but on the flip side, it's like, it's not really important.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, our focus can be on money, and then we go off and do our own thing, and we completely lose sight of our spiritual state, of who Christ is, what he's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the microwave generation, right? Like, I want everything now. If I have billions all right, my third segment.
Mm-hmm.
Why are deconstructionists or progressive Christians so mad at about everything?
I think it's interesting, one, that you're lumping deconstructionists and progressive Christians into the same category, but
I would say they're both the same.
Yeah.
They're one in the same.
I get it.
Often like, oh yeah, I love the Bible. I believe in God, but I hate it. Or I don't believe in the Bible, and I don't believe that God is this omniscient, all-powerful thing.
Yeah, it's the I love Jesus, but I don't like what he said.
Yeah. Like, I love the Bible, but I don't want Paul.
Yeah.
Right? Or I love the Bible. And I hear progressive pastors say, oh man, we love the Bible. It's not that we don't love the Bible. It's just there's all these other things that are better than the Bible. It's like, what are you saying?
Well, it's like, I love the God of the New Testament, just not the Old Testament.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. There are doubts that we face, right? We all wrestle with the faith questions, and we all struggle with understanding the Bible and kind of reconciling my choice and God's sovereignty. Like, there's all these things that come up. All of that is a part of growing in the faith, right?
Yeah.
It's all part of it. It's normal to have doubts. It's normal to wrestle with things that we see in Scripture. But what we're seeing in this deconstruction, even I think we're kind of past that phase now. I think a lot of that's kind of faded out a little bit. You don't hear much about it because it's really not popular anymore. It's like a fad. I think progressive Christians
I was going to call
fatty.
it that too.
It's the same
a very
thing.
big fad.
I think all of that's kind of going away with, it's just kind of, it ebbs and flows, right? You see these things pop up. I think progressive Christianity, I think deconstruction, I think all of it is this ebb and flow of our culture, right? That's kind of swayed by a lot of things. But there are a lot of people who are walking away from the faith or have walked away from the faith as if like, oh yeah, I'm walking away from the faith because I got hurt. But then they like throw like grenades back at it. Like, I'm walking away, but here's this. And they just like are mad about like, hey, I'm free to do whatever I want. But they seem really mad about it, right? Or they say, hey, I don't believe anymore. But then they mock Christianity or they mock the Bible, right? They mock Jesus. Or they say God isn't real, but they speak in an intimate way like, I hate him, right? We don't think of hate as intimate, but hating someone is very intimate. Like, to hate someone, you have to know someone, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And to say, I don't believe in God anymore, or I don't believe in the God that you say you believe, or the Bible says, but I hate that God, right? It seems very angry, both sides, whether you're a deconstruction or a progressive Christian. I saw one today where Answers in Genesis, Kevin Ham guy, I think,
Ken Ham.
he posted something about history is being proven by the Bible, something very simple like that. And then this progressive pastor like just railed into him like, how dare you say history in the Bible and the Bible's not scientific or it's not historic. It was like
Interesting.
he just kind of went after it, like really mean, hateful kind of way.
Weird.
Romans 1:21. Although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him because they became futile in their thinking, right? Huge. I it it irks me when I see people that used to be, right, but then they keep coming back to it and yelling at it or yelling
Spitting
about
on
it.
it,
Yeah,
mocking
I
it.
mean, it's
Yeah.
just if you don't want anything to do with it, stop talking about it, right? Don't. I mean, I think there's even with the progressive Christians or the ones who've deconstructed, there's still this tension because we see in Romans chapter 2 that God's created our conscience
Yeah.
to long for him, right? To want to know him. And there's this pull on the hearts of man, even though they say they don't want anything to do with Christianity or they don't believe the same Bible anymore, whatever it is, they're still drawn back to talking about it because they know.
Well, not only do they know, but they also, most of the time, try to live with a Christian worldview in some senses without saying that it's Christian. They're just saying, "Oh, well, I live morally."
without submitting to his lordship,
Yeah.
right?
And then on top of that, they got the image of God all over them.
Yeah, their intellect or their thinking, it's a moral thinking, not a faith thinking or
Yeah.
faith based thinking. Um,
Can you have morality without God, though?
no, I mean we've seen those arguments online, right?
Yeah.
Of like, where do you get it's wrong to kill someone? Where
Mhm.
where does that come from, right?
Yeah.
Those are really good videos. We might have to link one to that. Deconstructionism often begins with like I'm doubting some things, right?
Yeah.
Progressive Christianity is, I think it's a little bit different, but I would lump them in the same. Progressive Christians are like, hey, I've deconstructed, but I've rebuilt this thing that fits me, fits my lifestyle.
Yeah, God looks more like me
Yeah,
and not God.
It doesn't convict me, right? It affirms me and my thinking, and that's why you can't nail down progressive Christianity. There's no one. Each progressive,
It's slippery.
Yeah, each progressive Christian has a different idea of God, a different idea of the
Yeah.
Bible, a different idea of religion, a different idea of theology, a different idea of faith, a different idea of the gospel. None of them look at sin the same way. They don't even believe the word sin, right?
Yeah.
God can handle your doubts. I'll say that. God can handle the hard questions. The Bible doesn't shy away from those things, right?
No.
It doesn't shy away from things that we see in how awful humanity can be. It tells us all of it, right? That's one of the arguments, too, from progressives and deconstructionists. How could God call his people to kill people? Like, that's horrible. It's not moral. That's not good. That's not right.
Well, they see it as murder, not necessarily killing, and there's a difference there.
But the Bible doesn't shy away from it. Like,
No.
if God didn't want us to wrestle with that, he wouldn't be in there, right?
Mhm.
And so we wrestle with those things, and God can handle our questions, right? He can
Yeah.
handle the doubts that we have through there. But here's all throughout the Old Testament, even in the New Testament, God is not to be mocked, right? We see people mocking God or even the prophets of God, and pretty harsh things come down the pipe
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
I would warn both progressives and deconstructionists, look, be mad, but don't turn your anger towards God, right?
Yeah, you could be like Job. I mean, Job was very upset.
Oof, that's good. But he also said God gives and takes away.
Yeah.
And I'm still gonna place my faith in God, right?
But at the
I'm
same
still gonna
time,
trust.
I mean, near the beginning when all of this was happening, when he was losing his family and his animals and everything, he was like, I wish I would have just never been born.
Yeah. It got low, right? But he didn't deconstruct.
Mm-hmm.
He said, in the face of all this, I'm still going to place my
Yeah.
faith in God. I'm still going to trust God.
And Habakkuk has the same thing. He's questioning God.
Yeah. A lot of the prophets in the times of Israel, right? The ancient Israel, were not listened to.
Yeah.
They were mocked. They were often beaten, right? They were often ignored, made fun of. And yet they still, in the face of doubt, I would say, in the face of questioning God. I mean, look at Jonah. Jonah questioned God over and over again.
Actively ran away from him or tried.
God still provides. His will is still accomplished, right?
Mhm.
There's all these things. And most of the prophets that came out there, they're in, were like, I still trust God, right? Even though they didn't understand what was going on and they
Yeah.
doubted and they questioned. That's what I don't understand. Progressives and deconstruction both, it's as if they didn't read the Bible. And they're mad at people who've said some ugly things or hurtful things, right? And that happens, and that's unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
There are bad pastors who say mean things. There are mean Christians who say mean things because they don't understand the Bible either. They don't understand the compassion of God. But if my faith is only built on what that pastor said and not on Jesus, yeah, I'm going to run away from that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at it like, if I read the Bible and I see all these doubts and all these questions from believers, and then they turn around in Hebrews chapter 11, now they're in the hall of faith,
Yeah.
right? And they were really horrible in the Old Testament. Like, they didn't do the right thing, and they doubted and they questioned, and now they end up in the hall of faith. Why? Because they trusted God that we see in Scripture, right? I don't understand why they don't grasp that.
So I actually, before deconstruction was this thing, this fad,
the word.
I would have considered myself as somebody who's went through a deconstruction phase, but it wasn't to say, all right, I'm going to try to make God look more like me. I was taking my faith and saying, is it really my own, or do I just know what I've been told, and then that's it?
Yeah, I don't
So,
think that's deconstruction. I think that's like owning your faith, right? That's like understanding, like, what did I really commit to, right?
Mhm.
What did I really say I believe or I follow Jesus? Like, am I honest about that, right? That's an introspective. I want to know if my faith is real.
Yeah, and I tested everything.
Yeah.
Like I went to the very base of, like, was Jesus a real person?
Yeah.
Was he crucified? Like,
Yeah.
I guess the Lee Strobel kind of thing, but I didn't know about the
Yeah,
Lee Strobel.
I wouldn't say that's deconstruction. I think deconstruction is more of like, there's some kind of church hurt, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't like the way that made me feel, or there was maybe a pastor called me out on something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how that made me feel, so I'm going to deconstruct from that mean stuff, and then I'm going to build back what I think is right, not according to
or just leave it completely.
Yeah, or altogether, because that's usually at most deconstructions that have come out online, or like these celebrity Christians, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Who say they deconstruct Jars of Clay. You remember Jars of Clay? You don't remember Jars of Clay?
I've heard
probably
the name.
before
I've
you.
heard the name.
Like a lot of these big old worship bands have deconstructed.
The one I think about is Rhett and Link.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really, and I know they still exist, but I don't really know much about them anymore. A lot of the deconstruction, something hurt me, something convicted me, and so I'm going to either. I would say some of them have left it all together,
Mm-hmm.
but they still bring back bits and pieces of the good stuff that they like, right? Man, I don't know. I just don't know why there's anger and there's hurt. Hurt I can understand, but to come back constantly and to mock or to make fun of, I think that's weird. If you've left it, leave it.
Yeah.
Right. But again, I think there's this tension of I'm created in Imago Dei. My conscience, right? My soul longs for something.
But
right?
not only that, if you even think society in general, what gets views, what makes money, mocking Christianity.
Yeah,
so that's why they are coming back constantly, is because it's making money, it's getting the views, it's getting clicks.
That's good.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Let's end with this. Why does it matter for local church, right? So we need a shepherd, Jesus.
Yeah.
We need to shepherd people, right, as they go through these highs and lows, maybe hurts, right, in other churches or even our church, right? We need to be clear about what the Bible teaches. There needs to be compassion there when we fall.
Yeah.
We mess up. There are many people who are wounded by legalism. Hypocrisy is a big one, right? That's what you'll hear usually. Spiritual abuse. We didn't really talk about that much. That happens, unfortunately, in the church. But the answer to bad religion or bad faith, right, isn't like no religion or no faith, right?
Yeah.
It's what's true faith, right? And where do I find that?
Mm-hmm.
I think those are some good questions. What is true faith and where do I find that, right?
Yeah.
And probably that'll push us to Scripture. It'll push us to Jesus, right? Hopefully that's the goal.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to talk about John 6 Sunday. It's Jesus feeding the 5,000. All the Gospels talk about this miracle, among a couple others, but this one's a big one. And the the idea of like true faith, right? True faith follows Jesus not because of this miracle or sign.
Mm-hmm.
True faith follows Jesus because he's Lord.
Yeah.
Right? I think a lot of these deconstruction or a lot of these progressive Christians who have kind of gone off the deep end, I don't know that Jesus was ever really Lord. I think their religion was Lord, right? And like, oh, I want to toe the line and do these traditional things. Well, then when it hurts me, I'm walking away from that, right?
Yeah.
And they're confusing false religion for what's true, I think. There's a lot of people, I think, in that boat because they never saw the true Jesus. They just saw the things of tradition, right? Or the things of religion.
The good parts. It's
the moral parts, right? Yeah. So it's moral to go to church, right? It's moral to be nice to each other. It's moral to, and then when that falls apart, or that celebrity pastor trips up and sins, right, or falls publicly, right? Oh, I'm out, right? I think more often than not. I said that weirdly. There are a lot of people who follow people instead of Jesus,
mm-hmm.
right? In John chapter 6, a lot of people follow Jesus because of the signs, not because he's the Christ and the Son of God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're going to connect. Well, that would be a good connection, but we're not going to talk about this stuff on Sunday morning. But yeah,
we're not
the progressive Christians.
Oh, okay. But talking about like real saving faith versus.
Oh yeah, we're gonna mention what true faith is.
Okay.
Because, just to look at John 6, a lot of us read the Bible as if the miracle is the main thing of the passage, right? When really this miracle, like all the other ones, are pointing to something much bigger, right? John is writing what he writes so that people would see Jesus as the Christ and the Son of God. We often get stuck in think about children's ministry. How do we teach kids?
It's usually
we focus on the big thing in the passage, like, oh, David killed Goliath, and we sing a song about it, yada yada yada.
Or Jonah and the whale.
Yeah, there's a bigger picture happening than just that moment, right? There's a bigger picture happening than the 5,000. Now, is it a miracle that Jesus feeds 15 to 20,000 people? Yes. And the bread and the food and the fish don't run out? It's a miracle. It's awesome.
And they have leftovers.
It is God in the flesh feeding people, right? It's amazing. But the bigger picture is that Jesus is not just a miracle worker, right? He is God in the flesh.
Yeah.
He is the Messiah that was prophesied from the old. And why does that matter? Because the Jews miss it, right? They miss it in the passage. They miss it in the crucifixion story. Like, oh, we want a Barabbas. We don't want Jesus. Crucify that dude, right? They missed the whole point of why he came in the flesh, God in the flesh. Like, they missed it. Like, their faith was in the wrong spot. I think progressive Christians and deconstructionists, unfortunately, their faith was probably in the wrong spot, right? And so that's why they've fallen away. John says, hey, there was many among us, but they have gone out because they weren't really among us, right? They were with us for a short time, but their faith wasn't sure. It wasn't true. It wasn't right.
It was in the wrong thing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those stories, if you go back and look at a lot of just YouTube deconstruction, I deconstructed, or whatever you want to search.
Oh, man, you'd be inundated with videos.
You'll see it's church hurt, right? A lot of it's church hurt, like this pastor said something to me, or I was called out because of my sin, or this church was teaching falsely. Okay, cool. Then go find a church that's preaching the Bible that points you to Jesus. Don't run away from the faith.
Or sometimes it's even, I've found true enlightenment and I know that this isn't real because I've studied.
Oh yeah, I've gotten online things. And like there's all these other religion out there. All of them point to God.
Or
right?
that, you've heard those things.
Yeah, you've heard a lot of those things. Don't confuse trauma for theology.
Mm-hmm.
Don't trade Jesus for slogans. The gospel is still good news, even when the crowd shouts otherwise.
Yeah.
Right? There are a lot of popular people online talking negatively about the Christian faith. They're going to fade away.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to turn time to questions. Jacob always pulls up questions, random questions. I don't know these questions. I don't think he knows the questions half the time until he reads them. And so let's do questions, and then we'll do some closing thoughts on today's topics.
All right.
So what do you got?
if manna had a flavor of your choice,
I think
what
you've
would it
asked this
taste
one
like?
before.
No way.
I think it's similar. You said I think it was like, what do you think manna tastes like? It was similar question. I said
I've asked so
I,
many now. I need to start writing them down so I
I
don't ask them again.
I think I copped out and I said it's going to be perfect, whatever it is. It's going to be good, whatever it is.
Yeah, but this is just asking what flavor
Yeah, I
would
don't
you
know.
choose?
Vanilla. I don't know.
You wouldn't choose like pulled pork flavor?
No,
Oh,
I
what?
couldn't chew on pulled pork bread. Right? I think it'd be a sweet vanilla bread.
Okay.
I don't know.
Would you rather build the ark or wander the desert for 40 years?
That's a dumb question.
Sorry, man. That's what I got.
Build. Why would I want to wander?
Do you understand how long it took to build the ark?
Yeah, but I would rather be doing something than just wandering aimlessly.
Yeah, but you were still doing stuff in the desert. They were still doing things.
What were they doing?
Did they not still have the tabernacle set up?
They were
everything?
complaining a lot. That,
Okay, yeah.
they were even complaining about the manna. They were complaining about Moses leading them, right? They complain about everything. I don't want to be a part of that. I'd rather be building.
That's fair.
I'd rather be with my family, building off the grid, doing the ark thing, than I would with a bunch of complaining people wandering in the desert.
That's fair enough. Okay. This is funny. What's a spiritual gift you wished existed but doesn't? So like the gift of parking space finding or something.
I don't.
Like a I guess it's what superpower would you have as a spiritual gift?
The gift of flight.
The gift of flight.
Yeah.
Spiritual gift of flight. Okay. What would? Okay. Would you rather hear a 6-hour sermon from Paul or 10 minutes of silence from Jesus?
I don't even know what that means. So
Yeah.
would you rather sit with Jesus or listen to Paul? Sit with Jesus.
For 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, we do have a story of somebody hearing a long sermon from Paul. We know what happened there. Kid died. Okay. If you could send one sentence message to every American Christian today, what would it be?
One sentence?
One sentence.
When you can't see the outcome of whatever you're facing, God gives you enough strength to take the next step.
Ooh.
So keep moving forward.
Encouraging and convicting.
That would be it.
Nice.
Yeah. That's based off the sermon that we're going to do Sunday, but I always tell my kids, never quit, never give up. That's one of their big things that they've heard from being baby age. Never quit, never give up, right? And so with the Christian faith, it sounds like if I say never quit, never give up, it's like that's my own strength. That's really not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even if I don't know what's happening or coming around the corner or when the diagnosis is coming or when whatever's going to happen, even when I can't see it, God never promises me to know what's coming, right? But he promises me that his word is a light, a lamp, right, into my feet. Lamps don't give light to the whole world. It gives me light so I can see the next step, right?
Mhm.
That's how big that lamp, little lamp is, right? And so my faith gives me enough strength to take that next step one at a time, over and over again, right? Until whatever happens, right?
So could you repeat that one sentence? Because I want to hear that one more time.
We'll have to go back because I have no idea what I said.
Oh, man, that was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. I wanted to hear it again, but I'll go back and listen.
Yeah, we'll go back and listen to that, and we'll talk about it in the next podcast.
Okay.
Theology teaches who God is, right?
Mm-hmm.
To know him more fully, to walk with him, and to obey him, right? That kind of thing. That's what theology leads me to doxology. If I don't know who God is, I'm going to really have a hard time worshiping him, loving him, that kind of thing. Power, just for power's sake, isn't always good, right? Talking about the Koch family.
Yeah. Koch.
Yeah.
Coach.
And those who rage against God will stand before him one day and give an account for how they live their life.
Yeah. Even those that say they love God, but then turn and preach things that go contrary to who he is.
Yeah. So let's be a church who loves God,
loves people,
and makes disciples.